because the worst has now happened. The UFC have just released me. That leg's killing me! Woo! I went on a massive win streak. I'd been literally closing my eyes and thinking there's a belt wrapped around me, and now it's actually finally getting wrapped around me.
It's almost like, you know, you get like jitters, getting tingles, but like in a bad way, like when you're in a nightmare.
It was mad how everything just came to light. That was the first big moment. That's the first big moment when I just could not believe it. I thought this is actually just like dropped into my lap. When my manager goes, "We got the 50 Gs," I was like, "What? No way!"
I see it on Twitter. Modestas Bukauskas has been removed from the UFC rankings pool, and then I text my manager straight away. But I already knew at that moment that it was over. That was it. I wasn't in the UFC anymore.
This is Modestas Bukauskas, the journey so far.
This is it. This is the journey. My name is Modestas Bukauskas. I'm 27 years old. My professional MMA record is 11-5. I live in the UK and I was born in Lithuania.
Modestas Bukauskas, former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion of the world. But in his most recent fight in the UFC, he suffered an injury that could define a career.
The main thing is, well, as you can see, is obviously my leg. It's not great, to be honest with you. The pain has been excruciating. Like, I know I seem like in a pretty decent mood now, but I'm probably high on codeine. That's probably why I'm actually okay. Yeah, so the pain's been like, you know, so I had the operation on Thursday. It is now Monday, and the pain is still quite badly there. Obviously, the swelling's still quite high. I've just got to wait for all of that to settle, for it to slowly start, you know, sinking in with the recovery and the healing process. But I understand it's a process, you know. I understand this is what I have to go through. You have to go through the dark times to get onto the to the brighter times, or, you know, get onto greener pastures, as they say. So yeah, it's been horrible. Been some sleepless nights. I just want to go out there and prove everyone wrong, and, you know, go and make my dreams come true. It's better to come back from such a, you know, it's better story to tell when you come back from a really bad setback than when everything just goes great for you.
Oh, I didn't see you there. You notice something a bit different? You notice something a bit different? Oh, I wonder what's different. Alright, I'm not going to go too crazy, otherwise my physio's going to kill me. But basically, I've got no crutches. Why? Because I'm a freaking animal. Animal, mate. In terms of recovery, everything is going absolutely spot on. My physio, Leanne, is doing an absolutely incredible job. But yeah, I kind of just want to show you that I'm getting there, mate. I'm getting there.
It's clear that the leg is making serious progression, but I'm still interested to find out what happened that night on September the 4th, 2021 against Khalil Roundtree Jr.
I had a serious knee injury before the fight, so 10 weeks prior. I got the MRI, I talked to the doctor. He said, listen, you can fight, and because your leg is strong, you'll be fine. The fight started going in my direction. I started landing the shots and he was missing, and I thought, okay, I'll be able to get through this, and then, you know, but I never really got going in that fight, so it was just annoying for me that it had to be stopped before I could almost get it going, which is another testament to, you need to get going quicker. You can't just, you know, hold back. And maybe you could say that was a sense of fear that was holding me back, because he was hitting me with big shots and I was just trying to recompose myself, when I should have just been like, do you know what, you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you back harder. So yeah, it was just a lot of it. I really didn't know what to feel at the beginning, but as soon as I got carried away on the stretcher and they told me I was going to hospital, I just felt like the whole world fell apart. The only emotion was just deep sadness and depression, thinking like my life is over. I literally thought I'd rather die right now than have to experience what I'm going through right now.
Wow. When you said the word fear, could you explain in more kind of depth and context about how you felt that?
Yeah, so leading up to the fight, obviously a lot was on the line. I just lost 2 in a row in the UFC. most of the time you lose another one, you're going to be out. And for me, it was such a it was literally at the peak of the pinnacle of all my achievement, was getting to the UFC and being called a UFC fighter, getting the license plate on my car and everything. And I was so confident in myself. I was looking at other videos of other people just being confident in their own abilities, and I thought, do you know what, I could do the same thing. I was trying to play the strategy and the game plan too much. And unfortunately, sometimes you've got to be a bit primal, a bit ferocious, a bit vicious. You can't just try and play the game plan and try and be technical. You've got to be a bit of a savage in there. So the fear was that, you know, I don't want to get clicked with another big shot. So I was playing a style to evade his shots and try and land and get out. I was just regaining my composure and getting back to where I wanted to in the fight. And then next thing you know, obviously I get hit with that shot to the leg.
Losing, picking up a serious injury and being released from the biggest organisation in mixed martial arts, it comes as no surprise that it was hard for Modestas to handle.
I was almost thinking before the moment even happened, like, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like if I'm not in the UFC anymore. Like, I didn't even want to think about that. Yeah. I'm like, because that's not going to happen. I couldn't let it even get into my head. And then when I finally saw on Twitter that it's almost like, you know, you get like jitters and you know, like getting tingles, but like in a bad way, like when you're in a nightmare or something. Like, you get those tingles anytime there's a hint or an inkling that potentially that could happen. And then next thing you know, I see it on Twitter, Modestas Bukauskas has been removed from the UFC rankings pool. And then I text my manager straight away, but I already knew at that moment that it was over. That was it. I wasn't in the UFC anymore. That terminated my contract. And then obviously 5-10 minutes later, my manager called me and said, yeah, like, obviously he didn't want to tell me sort of straight away, but which is understandable. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I was in tears straight away because all that hard work, all the dedication, all the sacrifice, what did it mean? Like, it really, at that point, to me, it felt like nothing.
Never did what I was supposed to do, which sucks, man, because I know my dad knows, my family knows, people who are close to me know what I'm capable of.
It's not exactly been the brightest of times. A lot of the times behind the scenes, it's filled with darkness, sadness, regret, and all sorts of other emotions. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been very difficult trying to handle the cut from the UFC. I truly believed in myself, and I still do. Just keep believing, keep believing.
Going back to work, that must have been like not a nightmare, but difficult, because you're on top of the world and then you kind of feel like normal again.
Yeah, when I went back to that place where I used to work, I was very thankful that I was given the job again. A lot of people may have said, "Nah, you can't work here again," but they gave me my spot back, which was I was very grateful for. That I didn't have. I started not to worry financially anymore. I'm like, okay, at least that's one thing. But when I went into work and I'm doing the same thing that I was doing before, having to go in when there's, you know, either less people in the workplace or, you know, and as much as you can be hyped up and happy and, you know, in a good mood, it doesn't mask how you really feel. Like, I remember very clearly there was, you know, 2 occasions where I just came to work and I just literally, one time I broke down on the way back from work in the car, and one time it was literally at work when all the clients had left. I'm like, I just can't believe I'm back here. I can't believe I'm doing this again, like having to deal with clients and so. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Like, I don't mind, you know, the clients are absolutely lovely, they're amazing and this and that, and like the work is good, but then going back to that same spot where I knew how hard it was back then, I knew how difficult it was, I knew, you know, that was the grind for me, that, like you said, I seemed like a normal person, just a regular Joe, and then I'd been telling people about my story, talking about, oh, I'm going to get to the UFC, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and now I'm not. And then, like, I don't know, being back in the workplace just really hit me. Like, it really strung a nerve in me, because I'm like, why am I in this spot? Why did this have to happen to me? Like, you start questioning a load of things, and although the goal never really changes, you can't help to feel like really seriously depressed. Like nothing makes you happy at all. Even though you try to seem like you're happy, that's all just a facade.
With all the ups and downs involved in sports that athletes and fighters have to go through, I wanted to get to know why Modestas started as a mixed martial artist.
I pretty much started my martial arts training when I was 5 years old. My dad was the one who introduced me to it. He was obviously a very good fighter himself. He was a Soviet Union no holds barred heavyweight champion. So, you know, obviously the dude knew his stuff. We started just, you know, he just showed me a couple of techniques, a couple of kicks. Oh, look at these cool punches and kicks and stuff like that. And then literally about 3 weeks later, it got very serious. It's like, okay, we're training serious now. No fun and games. The main thing that we competed at in the beginning was kickboxing, which I won the British kickboxing title 4 times. I also competed in judo, you know, combat jiu-jitsu. So there was so many different aspects that we started at.
When did you then go out to America?
I started playing basketball when I was around 11, 12 years old. And that's when I took basketball very seriously. I sort of took the move away from martial arts and I pursued basketball heavily. I went out to America when I was 16 years old, went out there for 2 years. I tried to get a basketball scholarship, was unsuccessful. And then when I came back home when I was 18 years old, that's when my dad said, listen, you've got a choice.
Yeah.
Either you want to go to college in America, you know, try and pursue the basketball dream, or you can go back home, train with me and get really stuck into MMA. And that's essentially what I did. Came back home and got straight into MMA when I was 18 again.
With Modestas Bukauskas clearly being a huge influence on his son's career, it made me interested in the relationship between the pair.
How much does your son's career mean to you?
It means a lot to me, because we can say that kind of one side what it means to me a lot, that he probably fulfilled what I was not able to fulfill, because when I back in '94 in one very prestigious tournament, we have fun enough semi-final and final was 8-man standing, like you usually started UFC in '93, was no gloves.
Yeah.
And I beat a guy who already had contract to fight in America, and where UFC started. UFC started in '93 November, and I'm retired '94 May.
Heard that.
So so after this, when I smashed everybody, because I before this fight lost to a world champion in Sambo wrestling guy by decision, is where Modestas is born. And I took without any training fight because I needed big name, and then I wanted to come back and smash this guy, and what I did, he pulled out from the 5 seconds.
So do you feel when Modestas fights, it's almost a part of you in there?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, when it's fighting, kind of when your hands moving, everything, like takedown, yeah, it is 100%. When it's just quite tough, something happening, there's a reaction straight away, something wrong going, and everything, yeah. So you looks like it's you fighting.
He's always believed in me. Times when I sort of didn't believe enough in myself, he was always pushing me further, and that was probably one of the biggest problems I always had, was that because I was never the popular kid or anything like that. I had a sort of problem sort of believing in myself, especially later on in life. And so he's always there to tell me that I can do it, especially when I had my first 2 defeats in MMA, where things were very, very gloomy and sad, and he was always there picking me back up and saying, listen, you're going to get back in there, you're going to go and win, you're going to go on a massive streak, and you're going to achieve your dreams. And that's essentially what he's doing now also. So.
The first fight was amazing, winning UFC debut, and it also was another prime moment. Obviously his home, it is UK and everything, but he became first Lithuanian born man who is in UFC and who won as well in UFC.
My dad was the one who introduced the sport to me, and he was very influential, not just in martial arts, but in all aspects of life. To be polite, to do things the correct way, to be nice to people and stuff like that, but then also obviously to tell them to switch and be an animal, when I get inside the cage. So yeah, he's not only a massive influence in martial arts, but also in all aspects of life, and I learned all of my life lessons from him.
From being under the tutelage of his father at the age of 5 to June 2019, 20 years later, Modestas is crowned Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion of the world, alongside his father as they celebrated their success.
I went on a massive win streak before I then, I compiled a load of victories coming up to the world title fight against Marvin Hamlet. And at the time, again, I was completely counted out, massive underdog. Everyone thought, he's going to get put away in the first or second round, like nothing too crazy. Even Marvin Hamlet thought that he was going to beat me in the first round. It was going to be an easy walkover. No one believed in me. Everyone thought, but we knew, me and my dad knew, and people close to me knew
that this was going to be the fight, that we were going to go and show ourselves and show what we're like at the world level. And it was a very, very massive moment in my life because, like I said, I'd literally visualized it every single day. And it was mad because everything that I'd been visualizing, all the feelings that I had actually came true in real life. And it felt like, it almost felt weird. It felt like deja vu when it finally happened. Like it felt almost a supernatural feeling. I'm like, how the hell is it? Like, this is actually, I'd been literally closing my eyes and thinking there's a belt wrapped around me, and now it's actually finally getting wrapped around me. And I'd rehearsed certain things that I was going to say in the post fight, and that even happened. All the interviews afterwards, like, it was mad how everything just came to light. That was the first big moment. That's the first big moment when I just could not believe it. I thought, this is actually just like dropped into my laps right here. Obviously I've worked hard to achieve that, but it was a massive moment. And then my UFC debut, I have to admit, was probably the most calm I've ever felt. You know, when I went in there, you know, I was trying to obviously find my range, find my timing with my shots and everything, but it felt like I said, I was at the most at ease in my mind with everything. It felt like there was actually no pressure. See, when my manager goes, we got the 50 Gs, I was like, what? No way. And again, everything I wrote on my board, everything I visualized all came true. So in those two moments, it was almost supernatural is how I'll describe it.
Thank you for calling 999. What's your emergency, please?
There's been an unfortunate set of events in terms of my knee. You know, obviously last week I thought everything was going great. I thought, you know, everything was going on the road to recovery, and then, you know, shortly after I actually done a little video and recording with Joe. Next thing you know, my knee starts swelling up. It starts feeling not great. It starts feeling stiff, and there was like a lot more like a lump and like swelling and stuff like that. And I was like, where the hell did this come from? And you know, you really do think like, what the hell? I've went, you know, 6 steps forward and 5 steps backwards. I literally feel like I'm back to square one, which is annoying. But you know, shit happens, stuff like this happens, right? You know, I guess it's all part of the recovery process. I saw the doctor and he told me that I needed to get an MRI, so that's why I've just went to go get an MRI today. So yeah, it's just annoying because, you know, when you think everything's going so good and then you get hit with another piece of bad news in the already large amount of bad news that there was, to get even more, it just really sucks. It's annoying. You almost wish that the results would just come straight away, but yeah, all in good time. Just looking forward to get the results and see what happens next.
As me and the Baltic Gladiator met for the final time of filming, he informed me of the results of his MRI scan.
Yeah, it's just nice that I'm sort of away from everything around here. Like, you can just sort of just really, you know, you don't get to spend too much time on your own, and this is quite a nice place to, like, you can just really like stay within your own thoughts and not have to worry about anything. Just enjoy nature a little bit. So we got the MRI back, and luckily it wasn't quite so bad. Everything structurally was in place, but one of the grafts was basically a bit too thick, so I need to go back in for surgery again. But once I do get this surgery, I'll be able to get back onto the road to recovery.
I can see you still obviously wearing UFC stuff. You got the bag still knocking about. It's like, it's always going to be in your heart, the UFC.
Yeah, 100%. But do you know what? It gives me, like I say, even more motivation to get back. And to be honest, it's really comfortable. Like, they've got some really nice stuff. So obviously I rep it all the time, and I'm very proud of that. But like I said, it just gives me more motivation to get back. I've been there, I've done it, but by no means is it finished.
Right, so in the surgery room, as you can see, and yeah, we're about to go in for my knee operation to sort my stuff out, because obviously it's just been an absolutely intense road leading up to this point.
If I can show and motivate and inspire people that you can come back from whatever.
Every time I wake up, that always gives me the inspiration. I know like, things are going to get better.
Test. Can you come back? Can you go and fight in the UFC? No one gives a shit. Can you get signed to the UFC and then become champion? World. That is the true test.
Time to make a statement, people. Surgery done. Mans is feeling pretty good. Surgery went well, successful. Oh my gosh, I haven't felt extension like this in my life. It feels freaking amazing. Mate, I'm an animal. I told you this since day one. Good vibes, good feels. Back on the recovery road and back to making the biggest comeback in sporting history. Trust me.